Welcome to another episode of Tech Lounge, a podcast where we discuss the ever-changing world of technology. And now your host, Dan Duran.
Hello, everybody. We are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Duran, and I'm the host of Tech Lounge. Oh, what's going on with my mic? Hold on 1 second. Okay, so here we discuss topics related to business, leadership, technology, and cybersecurity. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Just remember, we stream live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're also on podcasts, including Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. So please make sure you follow us using the hashtag DanDuran and watch us live every Friday. Welcome, everybody. This is the Tech Lounge. So sit back and relax. Woo-hoo! All right. So today we're giving you the top 7 most important tips to start a website project, whether it's a brand new design or you're just doing an overhaul to your current website. And this show is not geared towards web designers or web developers too much, but more in terms of clients. So the client's perspective. And of course, with me, I have my co-host extraordinaire, Andrew Summerton, CEO of Bewire Technologies and Rhino Cybersecurity. Hello,
hey guys.
Andrew.
Hey Dan, how are you, buddy? Hey, Gladstone.
And of course, everybody knows our senior project manager and superhero, our quarterback, Gladstone Yamasepor. Hello, Gladstone. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hello, guys. And
Hey, Gladstone.
hello, world. How you guys?
All right. So backstory, Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about this show because we get so many clients that talk to us about, their vision, etc. So over the last 12 years, Bewire has been in business. And just so you know, guys, this was completely non-strategic. This, logo placement through the entire podcast. Mm-hmm. I promise it was completely fluke. No,
it was all organic.
It was all organic. Exactly.
I believe that.
Yeah. So don't mind if you contact us. We won't mind. We'll talk to you.
Exactly.
Send you quotes.
But
all organic. No planning.
Absolutely. But what we want to talk to you guys about today, which is really, really important, is so we have over 12 years experience with hundreds and hundreds of projects dealing with every size of organization, from startups to billion-dollar global organizations. And through the entire process, we found and identified a lot of similarities that happen when someone's launching a website. So we want to dive a little bit deeper into that. So if you are in that process or thinking about that, you're going to have some tips that you're going to be able to take away from this show and really help you with this, whether it's with us, your other web developers, or your in-house team. So sit back, as Dan said, and relax, and hopefully we and please ask questions because we want to answer them.
Exactly. So what kind of love do we get out there? Does anybody say hi, hello, hearts and stuff like that? Gladstone, Andrew, do we have?
Yeah, we got a lot of love. I think. Go ahead, Gladstone, if you see anything.
Diego. Hey, Diego. Diego's he's a regular listener. So what's up, Diego? Nice to see you, buddy.
Not only is a regular listener, let's be honest here, guys. Diego's our marketing manager. So let's just be out there and tell everybody exactly, because Diego's very regular because we asked him to be, and he helps us with this show. So Diego, thanks so much, buddy, for being here.
He better be on.
Good job.
Exactly.
All right. And then we have Kai. Hey, Kai, how's it going, buddy? He says hello. We also got Adrian. Adrian says, "What's up? What's going on, buddy? Nice to see you."
Top plans.
Who else
top
we
plans.
Got? Who else we got here? We got Tamara. Who's this? I think she's new. Perhaps no. Dan, do you know this person?
Yeah, sort of. She just happens to be my wife.
These are a
little bit.
These are our show plans for those guys out there looking. These ones that come in and always send their love. But no, we have a lot of people, a lot of regulars that we're really, really happy to have, and we love all the support, guys, from our team. Absolutely. And all the new people and all the regulars. But hey, Tamara, we're looking forward to the show. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Hey, if you're new to the show, make sure you comment, send us a shout out, and we'll display it online on display, and then we'll give you a shout out. So if you're new, you're listening to this podcast, don't be shy. We're here. Relax. sit back and relax. We are the Tech Lounge. So, all right. So let's dive into the web design projects from the client's perspective. Now, the last tip, of course, is the best one. So make sure you stay tuned. Take it away, Gladstone.
All right. So our first tip is start with a plan. So planning, more planning, and then some
Oh
more
boy, oh
planning.
boy.
Is that coming from personal experience, Gladstone?
Most definitely. So it's essential with any project, whether it be a web project or what have you. You need to have a strategy in place, and it needs to be adhered to. And everyone on the team needs to understand the process, and they need to follow it.
Well, there's an old saying, and I don't want to date myself here, but if you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail, right? I mean, that applies here, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, my grandpa used to say that, and he's 90 years old. Back
Wait
in
a
the
second.
day.
Don't be throwing me under the bus, Dan. Thank
Is
you.
that a
I'm
shot
old,
we're
but-
taking there? Yeah.
It is.
On
I'll
the
turn
face.
the camera off, let you guys go at it for a little bit.
Yeah. But you know what? In all seriousness, this is the main topic, and this is the main problem that clients face when they're hiring a web developer. And we see it over and over again in our projects. They don't have the right plan in progress. And your developer should be able to help you plan. Do the entire plan from strategy to persona development to digital marketing to like prototyping, all the way to not just launching the website, but also maintaining the website in terms of security, like SEO, all of that stuff, right? So, but we see it time and time again. There's no time to plan. They just jump in. Just sit back, think a little bit, and put a plan in place, right?
Well, and I think to that point, Dan Gladstone, I think what's really important about this is any organizations that's thinking about doing this, you have a vision, you know your business, but you are going to be hiring an expert. If you go to that expert with your vision, your expectations, etc., and then that expert massages your plan, it's going to get you to it's going to get you to your goal much better. And it's going to basically, they're going to take their expertise, and I said by massaging your plan, it's going to make it that much better, and you're going to be able to execute the plan much more strategically and in a timely fashion. Because I know every single time someone comes, it's like, oh, can we do it in 2 weeks? And it's like
Right.
a 2-month project, right? So the
Yeah.
better prepared you are, the much more success you're going to have.
You're absolutely right,
Absolutely.
Andrew. And just to add to that point, one of the first things you need to do when you're starting a project is to first identify who your target audience is. And
Oh,
basically
yeah.
what that means is, you have to create a customer profile or persona. And what that basically means is you're trying to get into the headspace of who you think your customers are. And then you need to actually build your site towards what their motivations are, right? And there needs to be a purpose for everything you put on your website. You're not just putting it on there just for the sake of having it, but you need to make sure that, because for one, customers, their attention span is like non-existent.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Customers, their attention
What?
span.
I don't. Wait
non-
a second, something just drove by.
Okay, there you go. You got my point.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes I see this, as a CTO, I see clients that want to go all crazy on virtual reality and all of these things. And then you ask them, "So what's your target market?" Oh, it's like 50 to 90-year-olds because we have a seniors home and stuff like that, or whatever, right? So I'm being a little exaggerating here. But the thing is, like, they have a vision, right? But the marketplace is completely different, right? So you have to help them along, right?
Well,
So
I think to that, and I think it's really important to walk a mile in your consumer's shoes. And what I mean by that is, as a business owner,
Wow.
you want to be all things to all people. You want to get that message on the website. You want to tell them the entire story. But in all fairness, the client doesn't care. They care about what's in it for them, what the process is going to be, how fast can I get an answer, and how fast can I get help. And if you can do that through, Gladstone's point, understanding your audience and understanding the journey on your website and building accordingly, that's going to help deliver that engagement, what we're all looking for with your website. Because you got to remember, your website's like a sales tool, right? The more you say in a sales, you can talk yourself out of a sale. If you say too much in a sale, you can actually literally talk yourself out of a sale. A lot of people do it. I've seen it hundreds of times.
Absolutely.
But if you say the right message and you sit back and listen and you let the client basically do their journey, they're going to be more engaged.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing applies to your website.
Absolutely.
A lot of times less is more.
Right.
Yes.
And-
Okay. So less is more. Now let's make a big stop in here.
Okay.
We want to hear from you, right? So what kind of comments? Do we have any questions so far? Do we have any shout outs? Gladstone, take it away.
Yeah, no questions I can see so far. I've got a whole lot of people saying hello. Kevin, what's up,
Yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah, I think they're waiting for us to, I think, here we go. Oh, wait, we do have a question.
Do we have?
Okay, look at this.
Okay,
Look,
here we
look who
go.
we
Good
have
one.
here. Look, who's this? Oh,
Uh,
okay. Question. Perfect.
all right.
Go ahead,
So,
Glasgow. You want to read it out?
sure. How do you effectively help clients if their goals or vision is unrealistic?
Um, Great question. That's
Good question.
you know what, I'll jump in there and I'm sure everybody else has their own feedback, but the reality is expectations. You're bang on, and I think expectations starts with back to the original first point. Starting with a plan, and then realistic expectations have to be discussed while you're building the process. Because you know what, the reality of it is, everybody wants everything to happen. You build a website, you spend X number of dollars, and you just expect the floodgates to open. But it's an entire process. So unrealistic expectations is a conversation, and it's about making sure that that's addressed originally when you're working with your team. So if you are a company and you do have unrealistic expectations, and I'm talking to each and every one of you out there, because you all do, be open to your professional's opinion that gets you to where you want to go. And I think that's really
Absolutely.
important.
The other thing is that every web developer company out there should have an onboarding process, right? Where
Mm.
clear expectations are set right from the onset, right from the beginning, because then things they divert very easily during the process, right? So, and there's two things. So the first one is scope creep, right?
Mhm.
Make sure that when you have that onboarding process and that coding process, that proposal, you see what's involved in the project and what's not involved in the project, right? So you can always refer back to the proposal and to the legalities of the project. And the
Right.
second one is the gold plating, right? So gold plating is basically when developers they overwork in a feature or something like that. You want to finish the project on time and on budget, right? So gold plating, it's not a really good thing to do. You should be able to limit that so you can actually advance on the rest of the features and finish the project on time, right? So
Absolutely. And to add to that point, Dan, with expectations also comes priorities, right? So to avoid scope creep, planning is essential. So you want to have, a few things you want to reach or within a certain amount of time. But but you have to set which ones are more important, and then you can have a phase two, and then you can address those minor issues in the next phase. But essentially, you want to get the project up and running, and then those minor little changes can be done in the next phase. So setting priorities will allow you to achieve that for sure.
absolutely,
And you know what, and just in wrapping up this question, Tamara, because I think it's a really
yes,
great question. I think the reality of it is, you as a company are hiring the professionals. Listen to them, and they will guide you to realistic expectations.
exactly.
And it's a collaborative effort. It's your vision, their expertise coming together to form realistic expectations. And so I think that pretty much answers that question, hopefully.
All
But
right, we got number one. Number one.
All
Woo-hoo. Okay.
right.
Second pro tip. Gladstone, take it away.
All right. The second one is get the right team involved. Dan,
Ooh.
what does that mean to you?
That means that I'm sorry to say this, clients and people or businesses that are out there, but you need to have somebody really involved in the project. So you can't just leave it to the developer or the designer to create the project and like you need to have somebody not only that can spend quality time with the developers, but hopefully somebody that's going to have some sort of project management skills or some sort of not web development but marketing skills and can, because it's an entire process, and all the content, the videos, the text, the SEO stuff, the images, they come from the client side, right? Not from the developers. So,
Sure.
and all of that stuff needs to be prepared so it can be put on the website. So you need to have somebody, it's at the beginning, at least it's a
as I
full-time
say,
job.
front end heavy, absolutely.
It's
Yep.
front end heavy, and then compile all that information and attend the weekly meetings. We have weekly meetings with our customers, and participate in our instant messaging, which we are going to be talking about that as well. So that's it. Communication is critical. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, getting the right
Yeah.
team involved is critical.
Right.
So Dan, a lot of times I've heard you and Andrew say like, we are an extension of our client's IT department. But on the flip side, we need somebody to be an extension of us on their end, because it's a collaboration. We need someone that's going to be, it's almost a full-time job for that person. So it's essential that when you're starting a project, you need to have someone that's going to be able to work, with me basically on a daily basis. We need to be doing regular checkups and status meetings. They need to be delivering content at the right time, because if we're not getting content at the right time, it's going to delay the project, and essentially it's going to cost the client more money, because time obviously is money. So we need someone to be basically working in concert with us.
And Gladstone, to your point, and I think it was just a slip in the tongue, where you said basically, their IT. We at BWire Technologies, we also own Rhino Cybersecurity, so we do talk about that a lot as an extension to their team. In this scenario, obviously, it's the right person in your organization. So this would be your, ideally the marketing manager, somebody basically that's directly involved and understands what we're trying to accomplish. That's. So true, Gladstone, to your point, though.
So from cyber, because we have Rhino Cybersecurity, right, our sister company. So that's why we say, we're an extension of your IT, because we provide cybersecurity services. But the same is true for marketing and BWire, where we are an extension of your marketing team, right? That's the key. I think we have a question.
We do have a question. Well. Yeah, actually, we have one from Diego.
So Diego says, what's the hardest thing you could say about dealing with customers? Okay.
You know what? We love them all. So come and join our team.
I think it's just what we were just talking about, right? It's getting content in a timely fashion. Obviously, they as a marketing manager, you have other jobs to do, not just build a website, but it is essential that we get things in the right time, and also that they follow the instructions that we give them. Pardon me. So that would be probably one of the hardest things I have to deal with.
Listen to us. I just want to say that all customers are not created equal, right? No. They come in different flavors. And you have customers that want things now, and it doesn't matter if it's sloppy now. You have other customers that they really get involved in the minutiae of things, and they're very detail oriented. You have all kinds of customers that, as a web developer, you have to mold yourself to your customers. However, 100%. Your customer also has to listen to you, because you have the experience, you have the technical experience, we have the projects, we've dealt with so many clients out there. So we've been in this rodeo many times. So I think that is the hardest thing to deal with the customer, for them to be able to listen to you when you provide the expertise.
I think you're right. I was going to say the same thing indirectly, Dan, where they're spending X number of dollars with you. And for most companies, it's a substantial investment, whether you're a small startup or you're a billion-dollar corporation. I mean, all levels are basically a lot of money. And when you're buying something, you sit back and say, you know what, it's my opinion, it's my vision, it's my direction, it's my. Well, then why are you hiring an expert? So I think back to the beginning is, yes, you are investing in bettering your website or bettering your service or bettering your engagement, and you're hiring a professional to help you with that process. Exactly. So I think that is the challenge at the very start, is to overcome that. Some come in saying, listen, you guys are the experts, and you have free reign. And we're like, well, wait a second. I love that we have that, but we still need your input. We need your guidance. We need your direction. And they should be thinking the exact same thing. And that's where it's about preparation, coming in with a plan, and then collaborating. And if you can get that collaboration, you've created gold. And that's where you're going to have a successful project. Because a lot of times we'll recommend things and they won't get done. Or they'll recommend things and we'll be like, I'm not sure if you should do that. We'll do it anyways because we want it. And that's where, again, that's the most important thing. And it's just basically making their culture fit with our culture and coming together and creating a new extension of your team.
Nice. Number 2. So number 2 was get the right team involved. Right. So number 3, what's number 3, Gladstone?
Number 3, communication is critical.
Oh boy, this one. Absolutely. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of the icing on the cake when we're talking about the fine tuning. It's the finishing, it's the implementation of the process, it's the collaboration, it's everything all in one. Communication is key. If you have an opinion and you're not communicating that opinion to your developers, shame on you. If the developers have an opinion and they're not communicating back to you, shame on us. Communication is everything. Communication is going to get you to the finish line. And there's always a saying, it's a win-win, right? And it's about everybody coming ahead and everybody winning. Yes. So the developers are going to do their job right if you have great communication from the team that's hiring you, or the company that's hiring you. The company that's hiring you, the developers, if you have great communication with them, they're going to feel engaged, they're going to be involved, and ultimately you're going to have that really great, successful project. So communication, I guess from my perspective, is probably number 1 and number 7 on the list, because it's critical.
Yes, and you know what? We're going to talk about using the right tools and like Slack and project management tools and stuff like that. But however, it doesn't matter. Seriously, it doesn't matter if the communication happens via email or text message or however method you prefer, as long as there is communication. Because this is like a relationship, right? It's like me and my wife, right? We need to have that communication so things go smoothly within the project, right? So communication is key.
Absolutely.
All right. Do we have anybody else asking questions?
Yeah, we just got McGill's come across here. If you want to throw it up so the audience can see. Here we go. How do you handle rude customers? Oh, go ahead, Gladstone. I stole your thunder. No, go ahead, please. Go ahead. Communication.
Okay, it's a two-way street. So, how do you handle rude customers who have no idea of the digital world? I think it's just education. It's just having patience and just educating them. And if you bring your points across concisely, then if they're a logical person, they should understand it, right? There's no need to escalate it into, a shouting match back and forth, because that's counterproductive. Just communication, back to that other point we had, to be honest, Miguel.
Yeah, I think so. And the digital landscaping is changing every single day. So in all fairness, back to, again, communication and collaboration, you probably are going to learn from that person who maybe doesn't know a whole bunch, but they bring up something that good point. But you could bring up hopefully 3 or 4 points that maybe they don't even know about either. So again, it's communication and actually working through the concerns or the issues the client has. And you know what? In all fairness, some clients are always going to be rude, and it's like, you let them know that unfortunately you have you do everything you possibly can to appease them. You do everything you possibly can to make them happy. Some people you can't make happy, and you make a conscious decision as a business owner or as a team to continue doing business with them or not. I mean, I'm going to call that out there, because the reality of it is some people just are nasty, and you just don't want to do business with them anyways.
Yeah, and just
hold on, guys. So this is 2 things separately for me. Okay, so
perfect, yeah.
How to deal with rude customers and how to deal with customers that don't know anything about the digital world is 2 separate things. Okay,
true.
So the way we deal with rude customers is, first of all, making things very clear at the beginning of the process. What's in scope, what's out of scope, and then referring to that as we move along. And then just having patience, because at the end of the day, rude customers it's not just because they're rude, it's because there's fear behind what they're saying, a frustration of past experiences, things that have gone wrong with other projects, etc. Right? So we never take it personally. Maybe they have a problem at home. Maybe they don't like their job, right? So it is nothing personal. We just got to make sure that we're organized and put things into perspective. Never taking personal our relationship with our client, even though they're rude. Sometimes, obviously, we just don't fit with clients, and that happens to every company. And we might as well not work with those clients. Now, the other question, which is they don't have any idea about digital world. And I love that, because when they don't, we teach them. We teach clients. We do the training. We have meetings with them. And, hey, I'm going to teach you about SEO. Let's jump on a meeting. I'm going to teach you about a flow or the process or prototyping and stuff like that. And those clients, usually they're not rude. They're actually they're listening to you, and they go like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do that. You are the expert. You're guiding me. So that's kind of like my 2 cents for this question.
No, I think that I'm glad you jumped in, Dan, and did that, because you're right. It is too, and you did that very well, because I agree with it full-heartedly. Yeah, well said.
As do I. And the whole thing you said about fear, to me, fear is an acronym, right? It stands for false evidence appearing real.
Wow.
What?
I love that.
So basically, false evidence appearing real. So that's
Wow.
our opportunity to educate the client, right? Because they
Man,
might
you
have a
never
preconceived.
failed to surprise me,
I
Gladstone,
told
with
you I
your
read the
eloquence
dictionary,
and disposition and dictionary words. And
right? So yeah, it's an opportunity for us to kind of, you know, to get rid of those fears or prejudices that they have from, past experiences, right? So we need to have patience, and like you said, Dan, as long as we have a set strategy in place that's been defined, if a customer is rude, there's no need for you to get angry as well. You can just point to the facts, like, hey, this is what we said we're going to do.
yeah,
Here it is,
And
as
right?
long as you're not rude back, right? So
yeah,
keep it
Exactly.
professional, buddy. Keep it
100%.
professional.
And
Absolutely.
guys, just to full circle to the point of this whole podcast is it's about the journey of somebody wanting to build a new website, and the tips that they should take away from today to make to help their journey a lot easier. So I love the questions, but let's if we can't keep it on topic based on helping our those customers out there, that would be wonderful.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Where are we now? So
So
number
we're
two.
We're number
we're
4,
on
I think.
number 3. We're moving on to number 4.
Number 4, correct? Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. What's
All
number
right.
4?
Don't procrastinate. Ooh, procrastination is the assassination of motivation.
Wow. Yes,
You
this
like
one's
that
a
one?
very, very important one. And what happens a lot of times is that at the very end of the project is when the client is giving us the content and is giving us the direction. And that shouldn't happen because, okay, we have 3 weeks to go, and then all of a sudden everybody's busy and we have to involve the entire team to be able to produce the project, right? When all of this information should have been given to us at the very beginning, right? So and that's usually because I know we understand that the client is busy and they have so many things on their plates. They wear so many hats in the company, but they need to spend some quality time with us to give us the stuff, right? So
Well, and I
that's
think
what
that's part of the whole plan at the beginning, guys, and setting up those
Mhm,
expectations. I think the client needs to realize part of this journey is on them, a big part of it at the beginning. And by you procrastinating, again, tip to you, by procrastinating, not being prepared, it is going to bottleneck the process. So the developers can only, your team can only do so much so fast. You basically need to help. So don't procrastinate by the process. So build the plan, meet with your team, hire them, implement it, and then make sure you strategically place all of the proper keys to get you to the end result. So you're not actually bottlenecking it at the end. And that's going to help you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a question. Don't mind if I go in there. We have a question from Adrian. Maybe you can put it on the screen, Gladstone, and mention what it is.
Adrian, do you remember your first client? Yes, we always remember our first. Yes, we do.
And
I
you know,
won't.
I,
We're
yeah,
not
I,
going to
I mean,
mention any names, but
No
for you,
names.
Gladstone, I think it was a medical client, wasn't it?
It was, and I was very green, and it was a learning experience. I mean, obviously looking back, I know I could have done a lot of things better. But like I said, it's a learning experience. So, I've used those things that I learned and I'm applying them as I go on. But in life, there's a constant journey, right? So you're always learning. And yeah, my first client, I wish I could say more, but obviously we have to, maintain some kind of discretion. But yes, I do remember my first client, Adrian.
Dan, I think your microphone just
Okay, there
kind
you
of,
go. Sorry,
there
I'm
you
just
go.
muting because you're okay. So, by the way, Andrew Somerton is right over there on the back of this building, so I can.
I'm
He's a really loud talker, so I have to
sorry.
put myself on mute when he talks, so there is no feedback or echo or anything like that. Hopefully, everything is going on smoothly on camera and there's no problems. But yeah. So that's why I'm muting myself. I apologize. So.
Do it quieter now.
Okay, perfect. All right. So do I remember my first client? Oh man, I've been in this business for 12 years, 13 years. So I don't quite remember my first client, but I'm going to tell you something. One of my first clients was Andrew Somerton. I used to work for him. Now we're business partners, but I remember we developed Key to the City, the website, and
Right.
it was a great project. Right? Like maybe you can
That's right.
attest to that, Andrew.
Absolutely. It was it was a wonderful project. And we actually, through Dan's outreach and social media experience, et cetera, we we way back when, I mean, this was like 15 years ago, almost, probably 12, 14 in that area when we started. And we reached out to you, and we collaborated together. You took our vision and ran with it. And again, back to communication, etc. It was brand new to us, and Dan had the experience, but he was fairly new as well. And together, we formulated that relationship. It was a national product. We did really, really well. Trials and tribulations, that business now has come and gone. But Dan and I kept our relationship going, and again, now we are business partners. But yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, it's crazy how things turned out, buddy, because I remember that our relationship was so good in terms of vendor client that we kept in contact. And not only that, but every time I traveled to Montreal or Ottawa, I would visit him. I would stay at his place, and we would do stuff, and we became friends, right? So from this client vendor relationship, so it was it's pretty good, yeah. All right, so let's move on.
All right, so that was tip number 4, don't procrastinate. And tip number 5, use the right tools.
Yes, the right tools for the job.
Absolutely.
Right? So here we are talking about many tools that we use, right? So for example, let's start from the beginning, right? Project management tool. We use Zoho, right? Some other people use Jira. Some other people use other tools, right? Asana, Monday, etc. But that's the right tool for the job. So a project management tool is not going to be good for instant messaging, which is different, right? Like you will use Slack for instant messaging, and that's for the communication, the everyday communication, which is different from the project manager tool. And then we have other tools, right? So the right tools you gotta use with your developer. What other tools do we have in place, Gladstone?
So like you mentioned, Zoho, which is for project management, and we have Slack for our instant messaging, and we also use things in the back end, like Git repository, and that's for basically maintaining versions of the application or site that we're building, and then simple email, telephone, basic things like that. But the key to this is using them effectively. Sometimes what I find is, although Slack allows you to upload files, that's probably not the best place to be doing that. That's what Zoho's for. And it's easy to lose documents in the ether of the thread, right? So it's best to actually use Zoho, because there's a file repository where you can upload documents. It's easy for the developers to find it. You can actually pin certain documents to a specific task that's assigned to a developer. So this keeps things organized, right?
Okay.
So there's a reason for this. There's a process, and it's essential that the client as well as developers follow and trust the process, or else we're going to have delays, and in the long run, it's going to cost money.
Well, again, back to you, the person thinking about building a website or hiring a team. These are tips for you when you're asking that developer, what are the tools you have in place? I mean, things have changed dramatically over the last 2 years. Companies are all working from home. You just can't go sit in a studio typically with them. They're working, you're hiring developers from all over the world. And communication, back to communication and the right tools. Ask when you're hiring the right team what their process is, what the tools they use to communicate, how do they manage the process.
I love that.
I think that's really important to you as the person thinking out there of who to hire, who to be engaged with. Ask those questions before you hire somebody. Make sure that they have the right tools that are going to help you be successful.
Yeah, and we were talking about this at the beginning on our pre-show. So let me tell you one of the wrong tools to use. Photoshop,
remember that.
And Illustrator. So if you're a developer, and I'm going to mention it again, if you are a developer, don't hate me about this. If you're a designer, don't hate me. Photoshop and Illustrator are either for photography and for vectors, right? Not for web development, not for web design. You have to use, something like Adobe XD, where the client can actually collaborate by putting messages, or you can create a prototype with hotspots so you can lead people to other pages. That's the right tool to use, right? So you have to use the right tools for the job. Right? So, for example, even if it's like gathering information from the current site, we use Hotjar, for example. We use Morning Score for SEO. You have to use the right tools for the job.
For sure. We have a really good question I'd like to share, actually. If Felix, and I'll let you read it if you want, class. I don't want to step on your toes. But if we can put the question up from Felix, I think it's really relevant.
Felix, what's up, Felix? Felix says, hi, guys. As this is a tech project and the technology constantly evolves, how can we tell our clients what we offer could be changing in 3 years, or maybe early?
Okay. I think this is the reason I wanted to bring this up, and I think this is so relevant. The web world, using our websites as a tool, it's probably been for, I know, Dan, you can answer better than I, even probably 15 years, 20 years. When we started building our websites, we started using it as a platform to sell our services, our first, our engagement, those 24/7 services. But technology has evolved so dramatically year over year. Security issues and concerns, updates to their software and the development. And I think as individuals, if you're out there as a business and you have a website that's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years old and older, which a lot of you are, you should be looking at revamping your website, updating your website, securing your website, and making sure you're talking to somebody to help you with that. Because if it's just, you put www. And it comes up and you think that's all warm and fuzzy, it's probably, if it's over 3 to 5 years, it's probably either outdated, it needs an update, it needs to be refreshed, it needs to be, so many things should be looked at. The user journey has changed dramatically in the last 2 years. So Felix, I think it's a fantastic question, and it's a conversation you need to have, and people just need to be informed that, you forget about it. You shouldn't be forgetting about it. Be looking at it, because it's a fundamental tool that's dramatically changed in operations over the last 2, if not 5 years, where more people are shopping online than they've ever done before, engaging with you more online than ever before, and that needs to be current and it needs to be relevant. And I think that's a great question.
You're talking about shopping, so let me just cut you off in there. Sorry. Shopping, e-commerce. Next week, Friday, 12 o'clock, we're going to have Chris Parsons from Home Hardware. He is the director of e-commerce at Home Hardware. So we have Home Hardware in the show. Don't miss it. Next Friday, 12 o'clock, live, right? So we're talking about e-commerce. Now, nice. Yeah. So the lifespan of a website is just like a car, right? You buy a car and you're expecting the car to last for X number of years, right? It is exactly the same, because there's a lot of maintenance that's going on a website. It has to be every month. There's security updates. There's maintenance that has to be done. And then at the end of the day, in 4 or 5 years, websites start to get clunky. They start to lose a lot of the functionality. They get outdated, they look ugly, right? So you need to start thinking about overhauling. So there is a lifespan of about actually 4 to 5 years for web development, for designs, for actual projects, right? So think about that, right? So don't think that you're going to have a website forever. So you have to make that calculation, how much you're going to spend, and then divide it into 5 years time. And that's going to be kind of like your ROI in there, right?
And what you could also do too with your developer, whoever you choose to hire, you could also, you can recognize it's an ongoing process. You're making changes, you're changing pictures, you're updating the software, you're securing it, you're hosting it, private hosting, etc. All these things are irrelevant. So you could have a conversation with your developer too. Say, listen, if you build it, can we put maybe an SLA agreement in place for a couple hours a month that we help, you help manage us for the next 3 to 5 years. You keep it relevant, you keep it current, we keep working with you. These are all things that you can look at, because websites now have become such an incredibly huge tool that you should always be keeping that top of mind, always be keeping it fresh. So to Dan's point, 3 to 5 year, but I think it's something that should be being looked at month in, month out, and always tweaking and adjusting to help you be successful.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right,
yes,
Andrew.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Moving on. Next one.
Moving on. So that was use the right tools.
Yes.
And now we're moving on to process and deadlines. Ooh.
Wow. The boring part of the website development.
But you know what?
Boring, but key.
Speaking to everybody out there as a business owner, deadlines are critical. Yeah. You know what? You can only scale a business. You can only manage so many projects. You can only hire your right team. You can only put all the right tools in place if you adhere to deadlines and those are met. So both sides. Your developer needs to be able to deliver on time without project creep, because that's a different conversation, because that always happens. But also you as the client, you need to realize that a lot of it falls on you. So if you're prepared, the deadlines are much easier to be kept.
Hey guys, just so you know, and for our podcasting friends that are just listening to us, I have the sun just glaring on my face when I'm in the middle of the screen.
You
So
still look good. You still look good.
every 2 minutes, you see me shifting and shifting and shifting, and all of a sudden I'm going to start disappearing from the screen. So don't mind me. Okay, I have this glaring sun on my face. All right, so process is very important. Having some sort of a standard operating procedures for a company like a web development company, we do have that, and basically it tells you what are the deliverables, right, and what is the planning process, and what are we going to do in each stage of the project, right? And as long as the client can understand what each stage is and what's the input, what's the output, I think the deadlines are going to be actually met,
Absolutely. And
right?
process and deadlines, they go hand in hand. So, in order to achieve the deadline on time, you have to follow and trust the process. And it can't just be one individual that's doing that, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. So, if one person is not following the process, that's
Wow.
going to hinder you in the long run, right? So, everybody needs to be on board, and it needs to be a team effort. And if we can do that, then I assure you that there'll be, you'll be hitting your target. Now, mind you, there's going to be hiccups, right? There's going to be bugs and issues that are going to come up, but it's essential that we don't stray from that process, right? Just because you've reached some kind of roadblock, that doesn't mean you give
Yes,
up your plan and just start freestyling, or else you're gonna pay for that in the long run, right? So it's essential
absolutely.
that you just keep on track and
Yeah.
keep on trucking.
And you know what, Gladstone, you mentioned something very important. You can't set up, like be not flexible, right? Unflexible.
Yes,
So
agile.
you have to be agile. Things change. So if you have a project that is 4 or 5 months and you start with this vision, with this plan, chances are that that plan is going to change. It's going to be altered by the end of the project because things change, right, in the marketplace, and or things change in terms of decision making. You know, high level in your company, right? So as a developer, we understand that. But as long as we don't, hit, and we tell our clients right away if changes are going to affect the deadlines, they're going to affect the budget, etc. Then it's your decision to make whether those are implemented or not. You can't change everything, right? You can't change everything, but you have to be flexible. And the company that you're dealing with needs to be understanding of your flexibility and how things can change, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Any questions?
Don't Let me double check here.
I think
I
Yes,
think we do have
we have
one.
a
Yeah.
couple of questions.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, no, I think we did that already. So Andrea Ramirez says, project management tools sh- should they be managed by the client? If they don't know how to use
wow.
them, they have to be trained, right? Absolutely, they have to be trained. And part of our onboarding process here at Be Wired is uh, you know, we do introduce the tools that we use and the processes that we put in place, and we give the client training on those tools, as well as how to
Yes.
use their website after we build it. We give them training on that as well, and we include documentation.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the project management tools, we do allow the client to not to manage it, but they can use it, right? They can create tasks, and they can view reports, and see where the project is at every stage and who's working on what. They can also disposition the task, and change the status. So yes, they have to be involved, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I said that everybody has to be involved in the process and they have to follow it. So it's essential. That's a great question, Andrea. And yes, definitely the client should be involved.
I
Managing
love
it,
it.
maybe not so much, because you don't want them to make any mistakes that would affect the actual project, and we lose files and things of that nature.
Gladstone, I love the fact that you brought up the point at the end with the training of the website, because you build it, and the company that's hired you doesn't necessarily have a technical mindset, but they're going to want to always make changes. They're going to want to change pictures. They're going to want to change text, pricing, etc.
Mhm.
So we're very fortunate at Be Wired that when we build a project, we actually do a very detailed description at the end, or instructions at the end, because also your internal team So I'm speaking to you as the companies out there hiring a development team. You may change your staffing over time. And so if all of a sudden someone who built the website and was trained, but doesn't have, and all of a sudden leaves 6 months later, someone else comes in, they'll have a tool to be able to manage that website accordingly.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. So that's something you should be asking your developers out there too, when engaging one. Do they give you proper training? Do they give you, directions at the end, or a training manual at the end that they can apply to new people who join your organization?
Yes.
So great point, Gladstone.
Absolutely. So just remember that we are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't miss next week. Is going to be Chris Parsons from Home Hardware. He's the director of e-commerce. Don't miss. It's a big company and they know how to do things. Chris Parsons is amazing. He's one of my friends. I'm also going to be part of his show, Delivering E-commerce. I love that intro that he's got. So talking about projects and in this part of deadlines and the project management tools that we're asking. What I think is that when you have one person or two people from the client side working on a project, it's easy for them to use our system, right? To adhere to our system, right? However, if we sometimes we have projects that are 1 year long, right? 7 months to 1 year long, big, more complex software projects. In those cases, usually the client has several people that they have to put into the project, and they already have a process, they already have Gits, they already have a project management tool, and then we bring in our staff into their tool because they're doing code revisions and all of that stuff, and they already have projects, especially when you're dealing with software companies that they already have software developers in-house, and we're doing the front end part or the mobile application, etc. Right? So big projects, absolutely, we can move and we can use your tools. Smaller projects, 3 to 5 months, one person from the client coming to us, not a problem. You can use our tools, right?
Yeah, for sure. So back to the business, guys. If you're out there looking at hiring developers, make sure they're accommodating to your tools or you're accommodating to theirs.
Hey, I have a better idea. Hire Bewire Technologies.
I love that. Wait, I heard these guys are awesome. Wait, no product placement here.
Nope. Strictly organic.
Awesome. So we're number 6 and we have 7.
I think this is number 7. You said this was the best. The biggest.
Exactly.
Drum roll.
Hire the right company.
Hire the right company. It's so important. It's so important. Ask for references, right? Look at their Google reviews. Look at what they've done before. And not only in terms of the glaring reviews that they have from clients and references, but in what space they're in. Right. So if the company has not done projects in your space, maybe it's not the right fit. Maybe you have to look for a company. There's a lot of web development companies in our region, for example, they're excellent and they're in niche markets, right? And they know how to deal, let's say, consultants and stuff like that. If you're a consultant, then they have experience in consulting, right? We are into the startup, tech companies, software companies, manufacturing is big for us, medical is big for us, right? So look at the right fit for your company, right?
Yeah, and I love that, and I think it's really important, all you companies out there that are actually looking at this, don't choose based on price, choose based on experience, choose based on collaboration. Because a lot of times, and it's 9 out of 10 times, you get what you pay for. And you know what? I know we're not the cheapest. I certainly know we're not the most expensive. But for you guys out there, wherever you're looking, whoever you're going to hire, don't hire on price. Hire on to what Dan just said: expertise, experience, industry knowledge, collaboration, the ability to adjust and adapt to your team and how you're going to collaborate and work together. That's worth a little bit more money, because at the end you're going to get what you truly want.
Yeah, and you know what? I love your list, Andrew. That those are all the same things I agree with. Another thing is you want to get the right individual in that company, right? So you don't want an order taker. You want somebody who has the stones to tell you, like, hey, that's not a good idea. Don't do that, and have a reason for that, right? Because a lot of times clients, they want to build a site that appeals to them. But it's up to you as a developer to tell them, like, listen, it's your company, yes, but you're trying to reach a target market. What do they like? What do they want? We need to build a site that's going to
Yes.
get them on your site. It's not about what you like. It's about what's going to get the client on your site and stay there, and then also have some kind of conversion, right?
Conversion is so
So
important.
that's essential that you
Yeah.
have to get the right person that's going to tell you what to do and not
Yeah.
just listen to everything you say, because the client's not always right,
Yeah.
and that's not because they're stupid, but they're just this is not their field of
Well,
expertise.
and you know what, guys? So let me talk to that for a second. So I think
Wow,
it's
that's
important,
loud.
and I think it's really important that we understand something. When a marketing manager or a marketing individual hires a company, they have somebody to report to too, a lot of time. And I think that's where, right, full circle to communication, right back to the very beginning, a plan, etc., comes into play. So these individuals who hire you as a company or hire us as a company, sometimes they ultimately make the decision, and you can work with them. Sometimes that decision is from somewhere else and they're just being directed. So I think that's really important you understand at the beginning of the process too. So if you're out there hiring a development team, the developers should understand the chain of command. And also you should be able to communicate that to your developers so they understand that the buck doesn't stop necessarily with you. Because to your point, Gladstone, you could give them all the recommendations in the world, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I agree with you 100%. They take it to the next level. They're like, no, we absolutely want it to be blue. We want it to be bold. We want it to be this. And we want to have all this content. And as a developer, you can only do so much, and you can guide the ship. But you have to have that collaboration and that communication to understand that, right? So yes, put yourself in their shoes as well, and just make sure there's a clear picture at the beginning of the process, so you know exactly why things are happening the way they're happening. I think that's really important to identify.
Yes, and let me circle around the concept of conversion for a bit, right? So, imagine you have a Ferrari, right? Brand new, brand spanking new. You just picked it up and you keep it in the garage for 2 months,
one day.
right? So, exactly, one day. So that's exactly what you do when you build a website. You're building this beautiful place where people can come and they can see your company and they can buy from you. However, conversion relates to the fact that you need to drive that Ferrari around and get exposure, right? So it comes in different flavors. It comes in terms of SEO. It comes in terms of social media marketing, for example, advertising. Our friends. So let me give you a big shout out. Our honeypot marketing. I know if you're listening, Dan, in there, I want to give you a big shout out. These guys are great. They also have a show every Friday, I think at 4 o'clock. If you tune in to Facebook, they have a great show there. They're digital marketing experts in there, and we do lots of collaborations. So conversion is great, and there's lots of ways to attaining conversion in your space to make sure that you drive people to the website, right? Call to actions are important on a website as well, right? Making sure that you have buttons, you have the right journey, all of that stuff. That was my sidestep into conversion.
There you go. Perfect. I love it. Well, there's so many things that we can talk about here, guys. I know that we're coming to the end of the show, and we're all very passionate about this. We're very, very involved on a day-to-day basis. It's what we live, sleep, eat, and breathe. So from my perspective, I really hope that people got what they came to watch out of this. And again, we could keep talking. I don't know if there's anything else you want to emphasize or talk to, but it's such a great topic. And just be prepared, be informed, be educated. Don't buy on price, buy on relationship, quality,
Yes.
all the different things. And best of luck with your journey. And if there's any questions or concerns, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
We have one question, Gladstone. Maybe we can take a couple of more questions.
Beautiful.
For our
Sure.
listeners.
So we have a question from stranger here. What about testing? What about testing? Yes,
Stranger
testing
being
is
my wife, Tamara Almeida Johnson, testing, because I always go, we talk quite a bit, at home, and then I was testing QA, like all of this stuff. It's one of the biggest nightmares out there from a client's perspective, because they have to do AUTs, right? So acceptance testings, or UAT, sorry, user acceptance testing. Right, and sometimes they fail to do that because it is tedious. You got to go through everything and make sure that you approve, right? So sometimes I'm like, the client is not doing UAT, and she's like, it's okay, don't worry, relax, right? So testing is so fundamental in any project, from the developer perspective, from the design perspective, from the usability, from SEO, from security, all of that stuff, but also from the client side, UATs.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think about this, Gladstone?
Oh yeah, everything you said, absolutely, Dan, is correct. And it's very important for the client to be testing. A lot of times, though, there might be a caching issue, and then they're like, "Oh my God, what the hell am I seeing?" And it's like, "Well, we just fixed that." But no, it's essential that everyone is testing, and I think it goes back to all the points that we listed already. So we need to have a process. You have to set milestones, and in those milestones, you have to be doing UAT or not UAT, but QA and testing for each step of the way. Each page, each section needs to be tested by the developers and, of course, by the client, right? And it has to be tested on multiple devices because in today's day and age, a lot of people are not sitting at home in front of their desktop. They're on the
Yes.
go. They have their cell phone,
Yeah.
their tablet, right? So we have to make sure that everything looks
Yeah.
consistent and fits beautifully on all those devices. So testing is, and it's a full-time job, right?
Yes.
So if we follow the process, we can deliver to the client one page at a time at certain intervals. That makes everybody's life easier, as opposed to them getting one huge site and they're like, "What the hell? This like." I need to get paid overtime just to do this, right?
Yes.
So it's essential that we do tests, but then there's a process and there's milestones for doing that testing. Absolutely.
By the way, 45% of the population of the users out there go to your website using their phones.
Absolutely.
Okay, so testing is not bound by the desktop or the browser. You need to do testing on your phone as well as a client, as the developer, right? Phone is so important, smartphones, right? So 45%, remember that.
Sure.
I love my numbers, man, my stats. It's all in here. All right. Okay, perfect. So I think that concludes our show. If there are no questions, then we'll just go right into the end of the show.
All right. So do we want
Remember,
to do a quick rundown of
absolutely. Let's do a quick
Yeah.
rundown.
Good.
Number
good.
one.
number one? Start with a plan.
Number two.
Get the right team involved.
Number three.
Communication is critical.
Number four. I'm doing my radio voice there.
Don't procrastinate.
Number five.
Use the right tools.
Number six.
Process and deadlines.
Number seven.
Hire the right company.
And I'm going to give you one more bonus question. Number eight. Hire Beware Technologies.
There you go. I like that one.
Product placement and, trying to sell it.
Completely
Anyways, yeah.
organic.
No, listen, at the end of the day, we're pretty cool. So if you have any questions, guys, if you need some, some consulting, we're always there. Just ping me, send me a message, and I'll be happy to talk to you for half an hour, take you out for coffee, now that COVID and the restrictions are opening, and have a chat about your website, about your project, free of charge. That's why we're here for. We love community, and we're here to help.
We're also, Dan, if you want to mention, maybe just sharing the our guide, for redesigning
Yes,
your website.
absolutely. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Andrew. So, for anybody who is here, reach out to us, and we have this really good ebook on how to rebuild your website. So we'll be happy to send it to you. Just reach out. We'll send it to you, and we also have this really good web brief where it's a questionnaire. I think it's like 15 questions, but it really maps out your roadmap for creating a good project. So reach out to us. We'll be happy to send it to you for free, exclusively to you, our listeners, our community.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget, Friday, 12 o'clock, next Friday, 12 o'clock, live, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. We have Chris Parsons from Delivering E-commerce. I love the intro, man. I just love it. He's the director of e-commerce at Home Hardware, and it's a very important show, big client, big organization,
Exactly.
and very good friend, Chris Parsons. He has an amazing wealth of knowledge when it comes to e-commerce, especially important since we're gearing up for Black Friday and
Cyber Monday.
And
there's a little one in the States. I think Thanksgiving, I know, is pretty big, and here too.
And
Oh, wait a second. Christmas is around the corner. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to see the snow come. But yes, Christmas. And then Gladstone, there's a special one that we always forget when we talk about holidays. Which one were you saying earlier? Another big one.
Halloween, I think.
You can buy
Halloween.
costumes online. There's another one. That's right. So
It's so funny because last night I was asking my wife if we can set up the Christmas tree already because I already missed Christmas, and
I believe that.
I'm such a Christmas
I
fan,
think
man.
I remember I
Ahead of yourself.
visited them last year at their house, and I don't know. We always put up ours December 1st. It was
We do-
probably the end of October. Their kids were going out for Halloween, and the Christmas tree was up. They're very proactive.
Yeah, we do
when it
Christmas.
comes to
We do Christmas in July too. We love Christmas in July, the music and stuff like that. So yeah, okay. I'm sorry, we're nerds like that. All right, live LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube next Friday, 12 o'clock. Chris Parsons, Home Hardware. See you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.